Well, welcome back to the Timeline Ranch. It's early morning. I was up here checking to see if I had any messages on my phone. I'll give you a quick look around. We'll go walk and look at everything that needs to be done today. Today's the last day I'll be here, the last full day anyway. So first thing I'm going to do is clean out this flue on the wood burning stove. I've got a drill powered chimney sweep here. And a good mask to wear, because nothing that comes out of that flue is good to breathe. Show you how this thing works. Is this weed eater string that it's made out of? So it will wear down over time, but I think you'll get a good many years out of it before that happens. So the big task today is putting these terrazzo pieces that I made out of the riverbed gravel out here in place on the stairs. And once I do that, it's going to make it quite difficult to get upstairs, at least going this way. What I'm going to do is start by taking all these pieces downstairs. The underside lip of these need to be ground a little bit where the epoxy dripped over to the backside. So I'm going to have to tote all these downstairs. When I start to lay them on the, put them in place on the stairs, I'm going to start at the top and work my way down to the bottom with it. Putting the tile adhesive on the bottom. That's also why I want to clean this chimney first, so it's one less thing I need to come upstairs for. Yeah, it's a beautiful morning. Couldn't ask for a nicer day. I want to spend some time out here as well today. Let's go take a walk around the pond. I like to do that every morning. I'll show you what I'm planning on doing over there. So here we are at our honey mesquite that I've been trimming to turn it into a tree. Yesterday I went through and cut off these little lower branches that I don't want to mature. I want it to put its growth going up mainly. I'm hoping one of these will want to go more this direction. It has some seed pods on it this year as well. We'll see at the end of this growth season how big this thing is. It's about 1.5 inches diameter right now at the base. Still got some nice thorns down here. Yeah, out here, if it doesn't have thorns, it's poisonous. Everything else has thorns. It's a harsh environment to try to survive. Hopefully, when I come back in July, this whole thing will be full of water. It's going to have water all the way over to right there. And it'll be right up to that edge where those moringa are planted over there. It'll be a beautiful sight. So these poor Mission Texas almond trees have had a rough ride out here so far. When I planted them, it didn't rain for 5 months until I was able to come out here and give them some water. They dropped their leaves, and then they came out with some stunted leaves because it was actually the dormant season. In spring they leafed out fairly good, and then a white-throated wood rat or field mice, pocket mouse, kangaroo rat. One of them got in here and ate all the leaves off of these trees. So yesterday I drove to town, which I normally don't drive to town for anything. I try to bring everything with me, but I went and bought a 100-foot roll of 1/4 inch mesh wire, $230, and I'm going to cover this cage that each one of these trees are in. I've got 3 of the Mission Texas almonds completely, all the way up, even the top. So there's no way for them to get in unless they try to burrow underneath it. And this ground's like trying to dig through concrete, so I don't think they're going to try that. This one, they ate all the branches off. It's got a new little branch coming out at the bottom off of one of the little stubs of branches that was still left. So hopefully, if I can get these things fenced off where nothing can get in there and chew on them, they'll actually start making some progress above ground. I'm hoping they're still putting some energy into root development, which I'm sure they are, because this year they didn't flower in the spring like they normally would. So that tells me they're putting their energy more where it's needed. You can see even on the new little branch, something ate the end of it off already. That's another one of my projects today. This one hasn't been eaten on recently. It's got some leaves. I think if I can get the fence on, it'll do all right. It's been chewed on a little bit, but not too bad compared to the other ones. This can be a beautiful sight here in another 10 years. When it gets these trees more developed, have some shade here on the side of the pond all day long. Get some of those Phoenix dactylifera palms planted out here on the beach area. Nice little radius over here with some fruit trees and a few more date palms. Little picnic area. The fountain right there in the roundabout with water flowing down this and splitting off into 2 little creeks, dumping back into the pond. It'll be a beautiful sight. I can see it in my head. I'm still going to fence off this little section that all these trees are planted on right here. Once I get this barbed wire fence up, I'm going to extend it up high enough that the mule deer can't jump over it. And then I'm going to bring another little section of fence over where it's blocked off on the water on this side. And it'll be too deep for them, even if it doesn't have water, to get back up here. That'll allow this to just grow unimpeded, except for the mice. You know, they'll be able to get in here still. But the mule deer could do a lot of damage real quick. And I think the mice probably wouldn't be doing too much damage out here if it wasn't so dry that the normal food sources aren't growing. So hopefully we'll start getting some rain, and you know, some of the grasses and different seeds that they eat will start growing and give them more of a variety instead of just trying to go after what I'm trying to, you know, grow out here. Apparently they don't like the taste of the pecan trees. I've had a few insects take a little, you know, piece of leaf here or there out, but not too bad. They're looking pretty good. The mice are getting in there and eating all that grass that's growing around the tree though. The mamuta grass and other native grasses that's in there. You can see some of the leaves from this little pecan tree are still down in there, and that mixed in with the grass Going to develop a nice little organic mound here. A little micro environment compared to outside the fence. It's eaten down to the ground. Yeah, once I get this fenced off, that's going to make a big difference on how this looks on the edge of the pond on this side. Later, I may block this whole lower section off from the mule deer when I get some other water sources for them, you know, the upper pond, and I'm going to build a few other ponds around the ranch, different areas. That'll be later though. This one's looking good. Again, that same insect took a couple little plugs out of the leaf right there. For the most part, it looks pretty good. Yeah, I'd like to start my day out every day, coming and walking around the pond, sipping on some tea. Can't think of a better way to start the day. That much water after all this dry period sure is a beautiful sight out here. I watered these twice yesterday. I think I'm going to do that again today. Water them this morning and then water them in the evening. And then tomorrow's my last day, you know, half a day here, so I'll water them in the morning and then I've got to go home. The moringa's looking good along with that dill. Looking real good. Yeah, once I'm out here full time, I can probably grow anything I want because I'll be able to water it. So I've got another little project here on the well that I wanted to do. Since I have some epoxy left. Yesterday I painted the door and the frame on this thing. Cleaned this up and painted the inside of this frame because it was starting to get, you know, the temperature difference between the door and what's in the well is making it condensate in here. So water is starting to pool in these little spots and in little corners like up in here and causing it to rust because the water just sits on it, you know, continuously. So I'm going to epoxy this inner side of this and the back side of the door. I'm not going to epoxy the front side because it's going to be exposed to sunlight. And it won't be looking very pretty for very long if I epoxy it on the outside. So it'll just have to get painted. The outside didn't look too bad though, because it's not exposed, you know, to that moisture like that. Yeah, once it warms up, I'm going to get that. It needs to be between the ideal working temperature 73 to 77 for that epoxy. Well, let me get started by cleaning out this flue on that wood burning stove. It's got an access point there on the bottom on that T-support bracket, and then on the inside I can pull that 90 off and clean the horizontal piece back to the T, and then while I have that 90 off I can go down to the wood burning stove, and that'll be it. I'll just have to clean out the bottom of those excess T's. Let's get the day started. always a good idea to get it at least damp. The surface that you're going to be putting the tile adhesive on helps it bond. Goes the same for tile. So I got the stairs buttoned up for now, and still need to come back and put caulking in all the joints and a little bit of touch-up epoxy in a few spots. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Once I put that brown caulking here, you know, that joint will kind of disappear. Right now you can see the tile adhesive in there just a little bit. Yeah, I need to put a little bit of epoxy on the bottom lip on that upper one. Yeah, looks like something you'd see at a bank. It's going to look nice with other finishes I'm going to do on the walls. It'll blend all together. Well, off to the next project. I'm going to put the epoxy on the inside of the well frame and the inside of the door in the well. Well, got a little coat of epoxy on there. Wasn't going for pretty. You know, epoxy's kind of tough on trying to cover paint with it. It doesn't want to bond to it real great. I'm just looking for a thin coating to keep the paint from breaking down with that water on it all the time. I'll have to keep coming over here periodically and wiping the drips from the epoxy. This ought to be good and waterproof now. It's got about a 1/4 inch of epoxy over all that. I think I got it pretty good all the way around. I can put another coat over that too later if I'm doing some more epoxy work sometime. If I have a little extra left. Well, off to the next project. I'm going to put that 1/4 inch mesh on the 3 Mission Texas almond tree fences to keep the mice out of there, or rat, whatever's chewing on them. gonna sink the wire cloth in the ground about 2 inches, about 50 millimeters. And if it digs underneath that, when I come back and I find a hole underneath it, I'm gonna pile a whole bunch of rock around there. That'll slow it down, if not stop it. I can also put some wire out away from it about a foot and then cover it up with dirt. That'd make it a lot harder on it too if it decides to dig. I think it'll leave it alone if it'll just start raining around here and everything else will start growing what it normally eats. Well, it's a really nice evening. There was some pretty crazy wind gusts in the middle of the day. Came through probably 50, 60 miles an hour just out of the blue. All the wildflowers are perking up since I've been here watering them. The tree anyway. They just happen to get a little water because they're close to it, which is also the reason they're growing here. Yeah, if it had been raining, this whole thing would look like that. Full of grass and wildflowers. Yeah, it's a shame. Haven't had a good monsoon season in a while. There's our pecan tree. Our first pecan tree, looking happy. So hopefully this 1/4 inch squared fencing will do the trick of keeping the almond tree safe in there. Got some leaves coming out on it. Hopefully they'll stay on there this time. There's a few leaves coming out on that one too. Yeah, it's not the prettiest fencing job, but I think it'll work. The salt that's in the soil out here is going to eat this fencing up pretty quick around the bottom. I'll probably have to scab on another little piece later until the trees get bigger. If it start raining, I don't think I'd have this pressure from the native mammals on it right now. I think they'd be eating other things. This one doesn't have any new leaves coming out. This was the best of all of them before, best looking. I'm sure here in a few weeks it'll leaf back out after it's not getting chewed on anymore. There's some interesting birds this time of the year and throughout the warmer months. They follow the contour of the soil when they fly. There's one coming through the pond right now. Yeah, in the middle of the summer, you'll see 50, 60 of those birds right in here because of the water. If there's water in the pond, of course. Well, I'm going to finish watering the moringa over there. I'm going to call it a night. I got everything done on my list today except for that little bit of sheetrock tape and floating. Maybe I'll do that in the morning before I leave. Yeah, you see a lot more birds around here when there's water in the pond. A lot more of everything, actually. Well, I guess that's it for this one. If you like what I'm doing out here and you want to help speed the ranch build up, there's a few avenues to do that in the description of the video. Buy me a coffee is one way. Amazon affiliate link is in there as well. Every little bit will get me closer to being out here full time and making this ranch build go a lot faster. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.